right. So, Kevin Rahm, thanks for being here.
My pleasure, Scott.
It's very nice to have you. You're so busy. You're a family man. You're a philanthropist. You're an actor. So I know that your life is crazy. I totally
By the
get
way,
that.
in that order.
Yes. Yeah. Actually, that's exactly. I couldn't agree more. That's one of the reasons I
Yeah.
wanted to talk to you also. So I will say this just to get it out of the way. I know people know you through Mad Men, Madam Secretary, Lethal Weapon, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Anything else you'd like to mention right off the bat? Because those are some of the big ones. But
Those are the big. Desperate Housewives is up there. Those are the
oh,
big
that's right.
four.
That's right. I can't believe I
Those are the
forgot
big
that.
four. Madam
Yeah.
Judging Amy is like right up there. It's funny. Anyone under 25 at this point, if they recognize me, it's from Friends. I did one
Really?
episode of Friends. I did one episode, and if someone recognizes me that's under 25, I'm like, it's Friends, and they're like, who were you in Friends? And I'm like, I
Yeah.
was the sous chef. And they're like, oh my God, that's you. Oh my God.
That
Yeah,
is so funny.
yeah.
And then you've got all these other big shows that you were on, but that's the one they remember that one episode.
Yeah, the one episode. That and
Yeah.
Scrubs, I get a weird I did one episode of Scrubs. I get that one periodically.
Mhm.
It's those shows that during the pandemic people binged and
Right.
watched repeatedly over and over and over again.
Exactly.
So yeah, they saw that episode more than once.
Oh, how fun! How fun! Well, it's a great resume you have, but we're not here to talk about that, real estate this time. And
Yes,
we'll
sir.
get back to some of that stuff in a bit. So, as you know, the name of the show is Real Estate Hell with
Uh-huh.
Scott and Nell, and it's
Yes.
because the deal with you is just hell. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to say this. I'm going to start by saying this. The deal with you, I was really impressed because you're very creative, obviously, but the business mind that you had, I thought was great. So
Interesting.
right from the very beginning, I remember being in your because I had met you at our buddy's house,
Yeah.
and,
At Britt's house.
and we had talked a little bit, having some fun, that kind of thing. And then he said, "Hey, you guys should talk." When I went over there, I thought,
Hmm.
I wonder what he's going to be like from a business standpoint. And boy, you just got it. I thought, man, this guy's a really solid businessman because
Interesting.
everything we talked about, you got. And it
Yeah.
was, and you, so it just made it so much. So you're really like the ideal client. I'll say that. And in the entertainment industry, it seems to go one way, or it goes like, oh crap,
That's fair. That's
it could
fair.
go the other way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, so my thing is like everything I know, I was a good student up to a point, and then I became a really bad student. By college, I became a horrible student. So
wow,
everything I know in the world has been for asking questions about characters or performance or shows, right?
right.
So when I get to a place with someone like you who knows what the hell they're talking about, no pun intended, I'm interested. Like I want to know. I'm always interested in what people do and how they think and how things work. And so I'm a sponge when it comes to that. So I know how to ask good questions to get
Yeah,
to what it is. And so what I apprecited from you, and you spoiled me. You
I did.
spoiled me. Oh my
Thank
God.
you.
As a realtor, you spoiled me. That was the first house I ever sold was with you.
Oh,
My
really?
first house I ever bought. And then that was the first time I ever sold a house. Because my first house was my first home, really. So you spoiled me, and one of the things you spoiled me with was your knowledge of how everything worked and your assessment of what needed to be done and what didn't need to be done, and ranking them of like, here are the things that I would do. Here's the ranking of those things. You have to choose what you're willing to pay for, but these are the top three you have to do. And then, but then also, what I was most impressed with, well, one of the things, not the most, but one of the things I was impressed with most was your Rolodex. And like I feel like I learned more watching you, and you had people, if you needed a deck redone, if you needed painting, if you needed
Mhm.
landscape, if you needed whatever, you had a guy or two or three that you could call, and they were going to get that stuff done right away. And that's
Well,
what that you spoiled me. I just assumed every realtor was that way, was that professional, that on time, that
mhm.
with it, having that much information about the area, and that's not always the case from
Well,
experience after the fact.
you are very kind to say all that. And to me, I early on in my career, because I'm former entertainment industry, not obviously like you, but and then eventually I thought, okay, this is torture to be in this business. If you're at your level, to me, it's what a wonderful business. But at the level I was at, it wasn't. So when we got married, I looked at it and I said, if I could just be the realtor that I want someone to be for me,
Yeah,
then I
yeah,
should do well, right? I sound like Mark Sussman, right? I do,
Right,
don't I?
right,
Yeah,
right.
right. And he said, and my wife said yes. So I got into business, and I was just fortunate to do well. But this isn't
No,
this isn't
I
about
take. Oh, hold on.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
just fortunate, not just fortunate. You work your butt off,
No,
and
thank
that's
you.
what creates opportunities. Like, take that at least. Like, I understand we're all lucky to be where we are, and we all had breaks, and we all get a little bit lucky and had good fortune. But you also work your butt off, and you have a great group of people around you. So yeah, you
Oh,
should accept that. Yeah.
thank you. I appreciate that. And the truth is, I look at my team, and I'm going, without the team, I just feel like I can't perform at this level. And with the
Yeah.
team, it makes it easy.
Yeah.
And so thanks for recognizing that. I really appreciate that.
Yep.
I do remember the day we met after we walked down below. I think we were down at the curb. It sounds like it's the day we met, when we started dating. It just sounds like that. But we went down there and I said, hey, look, I'm just being professional because, last time I saw you, we were drinking. This
Yeah.
time I'm like, I'm a realtor. And so I said, hey, it was nice to meet you. Just let me know what you think. And he said, no, I don't need to. You said, I don't need to think anymore. I'm going to hire you.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? You
Well,
just you made it like that.
yeah. Well, I met one other realtor, and I had met the other person before, and so you were the second meeting I had, and I was like,
Mhm.
it was a no brainer for me. I mean, like the recommendation from our friends was good, but then I asked you the questions I wanted to ask, and you had all the answers. Like, okay, this is a no brainer. Let's go. Let's do
No,
this.
I appreciate that. But I always, in my business too, to be effective and you really have to be able to pivot and make decisions quickly. And that's one of the things I was impressed with you as well, because I didn't know what to expect on a
Yeah.
professional
Yeah.
level. So, yeah.
Well, actors are
Um,
flaky and weird, so that's fair.
yeah, we know a few, don't we? We know a few. The funny thing is, a lot of the ones I know that are in my life, they're so freaking cool. They're so nice and just have such big hearts. So it's very different. So again, I feel fortunate to be surrounded with a lot of great people, and a lot of them happen to be entertainment industry. So that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But let's talk about a couple of the challenges that we had, and then I've got some other stuff I want to get to.
Okay.
So one of the things, and I asked your permission to bring this up because I don't know if you're still a smoker,
I am not.
but you're not.
No,
I'm so
I
glad.
quit right after I sold that house.
Seriously? Oh, that's
Yeah, no.
right.
I had quit smoking when I booked Mad Men. I had just stopped smoking, and my
Wow.
wife, who's a surgeon, was like, "You have to." She wasn't my wife yet, but we were dating.
Right.
She's like, "You have to quit smoking." I was like, "Yeah, we'll see." And then I had just quit, and when I booked the Mad Men, the first thing
Uh-huh.
I asked was, "Does my character smoke?" And
Wow.
Matthew Weiner was like, "No, Ted Shaw does not smoke." And I'm like, "Awesome." Then of
Oh,
course
great.
everyone smoked off camera, like
Right.
everyone. And so I started smoking again. So we smoked. I smoked during that process,
Right.
and then it was like right when we finished, we wrapped, and I quit. That was it.
I think I love that because I know you have. Well, I don't want to start mentioning personal things, but I know you have family that's so important to
I
you.
I have a daughter that I want to be here
Yes.
for a long time. Yes.
Oh, that's what it's all about. And
Yeah.
so that's why when I bring this up, I thought, because to me, I want the best for you, and I see
Yeah.
smoking, and
Well,
I was in
by the way,
hospice with.
it's something I
Yeah,
never would have thought of. I never would
right,
have thought of that. I was like, I didn't smoke in my house all the time. There were
right,
periods where I smoked in my house. We had parties, people smoked in the house. But you
right,
don't realize after 10 years the
right.
damage that can do. And like you remove a painting and it's like you could see the ring around. It's like, oh
I know.
wow. You
So
have no idea. Imagine
I'm
what that did
glad
to
you're
my
being.
lungs that whole time.
That's the
And
thing.
I
I'm
see the
glad you're
ring
being
around the
really
picture
open
frame.
about this because when you think about real estate health, you walk in. I don't want to offend you, right?
No, of course
I don't
not.
want to. But the challenge is that anything that any fabric, anything was going to have the smell in it. So we had to
Yeah,
deal with
everything.
that. And then the walls did. They had a
Yeah.
little bit of a. And I was going like, gosh, can you? And my stager and styler came through, and she goes, "We got to do something about this." And so I was so happy that you were moving because I knew, okay, once he's out,
Yeah.
we should be good to go.
Yeah.
And I could give you a list of 10 things, and it was interesting. Like 9 of them you'd say yes to. The 10th you'd go, why? I go, because
Yeah.
this. He goes, that doesn't matter to me. Is it how important it is to you, Scott? And I would tell you, and then we
Yeah.
decide, which makes you, again, the ideal
Yeah.
client because you
Yeah.
appreciate what I bring to the table. So, yeah, so with that particular thing, we had to make sure that we did what we needed to do to get the smoke out because no one likes to walk into a house with
Of
their
course
stale
not.
smoke. And then the walls, it made them kind of dank. And
Yeah.
so they were,
Yeah. They
so,
were grills.
so we brought out the color well, I didn't decide, but the stager brought in the right colors. They
Yep.
brought in the right materials and everything in order to make the place really pop.
Looked great. So funny
Yeah.
story. I remember. So we were moving. Amy had already moved to Sacramento. We were moving to
Mhm.
Sacramento. Amy had already moved, and we finally got everything out of there. And I, and the stager, all the furniture got moved out, right?
Mhm.
And that, and I was like, okay, so I'm just going to stay here tonight, whatever, and then I'm going to leave in the morning. I think the motorcycle finally got moved. I don't know if I moved the motorcycle to a friend's house. That's another conversation. But I moved the
Yes,
motorcycle. That was
that
gone.
is
That was
right.
the motorcycle was gone. And then they all the furniture was gone. The stager came in, brought everything, and I was like, well, I'll just stay here one more night. And then I realized, okay, I can't sleep on this lovely couch that they put in here that's not mine. And then I realized, oh, it's not a real bed. That's a blow up. It's a not even a blow up mattress. It's a blow up bed.
It was
And I
inflated,
can't.
yeah.
And I was like, I went and got a hotel room. I was like, I can't stay here. I was like, I have a house for one more night, but I can't. There's nothing to sleep on. That's something I
Right.
never would have thought of ahead of time.
I think that's the night you sent me that really weird, awkward, profane text. I think now I know why you did it. Now it makes
That's
sense.
why. That's why. That's
Yes.
why.
Okay.
I still own this house and I can't stay in it. That was the text.
Oh, that was so funny. That's so funny. And then, so let's talk about what happened. You brought this up. I had forgotten about it
Yes.
for a bit. The back porch.
Oh yeah. So I had that beautiful deck. That deck was there before I bought the house, and I had it re-stained, like sanded and stained when I first moved in, I believe.
Hmm.
And then I had built that like the stuff up the hill that we
Yeah.
pulled all that off because that was all dead, all bad wood. And then as they were going to stain and steel the deck, your guys found rot. Like there was rot. The deck was rotted,
Hmm.
and that was something I did not want. I had no thought ahead of time of spending money on a deck before I bought the
Right.
house.
I'm selling the damn house. Why am I
I
doing
was like,
that?
I don't
Just
want
because.
to. This is because that was not a cheap deck, and I was like, oh man. And you were like, trust me, this is worth every penny. I got a guy who's going to give you a good deal, or girl for that matter. But I think this was a guy,
Sure.
and you were like, trust me, it's worth it. And I was like, okay. I was like, if you think it's important, and I agree with you because this is a pain, I don't want to spend this much money, but like, let's make it as good as it can be to get as much as we can out of the house.
Actually, what was interesting, we were willing just to do some patchwork, and you said, no, I want to do it right.
No, yeah, I wanted to do it right. My whole thing is I didn't want to. I wanted I have this thing like if I'm going to leave something, it's almost like that Boy Scout thing. You like leave it better than you found it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I just like I don't want to, and I want to be as honest as possible. The last thing I want is someone saying, I bought this house from Rom, and he did this crap ass patchwork on this
Right.
deck, and it was just crap. And I was like,
What an
I don't want that.
asshole.
I want it here. If there's issue, here's the issue. I spent money on this. I
Right.
didn't spend money on this, but that's your choice, right? I want that to be as transparent as possible. But it looked gorgeous. I mean, I was like, why did like most of the stuff we did to the house?
Right.
I was like, man, I wish I'd have done this 5 years ago. It's so much prettier now.
Well, when I came in, it was a bachelor house, and the truth
It was
is,
total
it had
bachelor pad.
knotty pine. It was a little bit dark. It was extremely private, and which was great. I'm going, this is a cool bachelor pad, but it wasn't a great. It didn't show well for the market. That's
No,
why
no, no,
we
no.
had to step in. I'm going, look, you're going to have to spend a little money, but I promise you, you're going to make more.
Yeah,
And then your backyard was very private. What was great about what you did back there is I think the deck was so important because you didn't have a big backyard.
no.
So it needed to be beautiful. So it needed to be
And
dressed right,
it
needed to be
also
beautiful.
it
Yeah,
doubled the size of the living room. I mean, it added
there you
800 square
go.
feet to the house. Ultimately, you know what I mean?
Right.
That deck alone.
Yeah, because it's got the illusion of being part of the interior. And
Yeah,
so that's the way everything was done. So what's great about you having a creative mind is that you get what we were trying to accomplish there. Whereas some people go, why? Why? I don't want to
yeah,
spend that money. I'm going because in my experience, and it's going on 20 years, this is what's going to get you to your best net. It's a small
yes,
investment.
yeah,
And I think with these small investments you make, because you only spend a few $1,000s, it made you a ton of money. And
yeah.
so
I believe so.
yeah, even in the back on the hillside, because
Yeah,
you had it beautifully set up, but it hadn't been loved for a while, so it just needed to be dolled up, and
yeah,
and all of a sudden you got these beautiful pictures because you're willing to do that, and then you add some light back there, it just changes everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
One of the I cannot tell you one of the coolest things you do, and I assume you do this for all your clients, is you have someone come take a photo. The photos are always amazing. Your photographer is amazing,
no,
but
thank
then
you.
you have a painting made of the house
Oh no,
by
you
an
shouldn't say
artist.
that. I
Do you
did
not
that.
do that?
I
Is
don't
that
do
not
that
true?
anymore.
Oh
Where do you
no,
have
I'm
to
so
say
sorry.
that?
It was so good. It was so good.
Yes,
But you did a lovely thing for me personally that you do for no one else.
it's
That
just
was
for
so
Kevin Rahm.
kind. It was just for me because that was also, and I didn't know if this was something you do for everyone or not. I was making that joke, but like that was my first home, not just
Oh,
house, but my first home.
right.
Well, the place where I felt safe, that I built myself, that was
Mm-hmm.
mine, that was a safe place. Like that was the first one I had in my life. So it was a big
Oh,
deal
that's
to me, and
sweet.
I was really I was disappointed. I needed to sell that house because we were, but again, because of family, and I had a kid on the way, and we were moving to Sacramento. We wanted to build a home there or create our home there. And so I still have and have it framed and hung in this house. Now my second house after that house of that a home worth remembering is what it said on the painting, which is
Exactly.
gorgeous.
And the thing about that too is even the person that painted that, I said, this is what we're looking for. I'm looking for the warmth of this. This is a home. And I said, don't worry, it doesn't need to be exact. I'm not looking for
No,
perfection. I'm
no,
looking for a piece of art. And so when it came through, I went, "Ah, I like it." I was thinking, gosh,
yeah,
I hope he likes it.
gorgeous, gorgeous.
Oh,
I still have it.
and then so this is the way I recall it with your garage. You had
Yes,
this
yes.
you had this really fancy bike, which was interesting because you walk in and you look so clean cut. You look like you could be my little brother, right? So clean cut. You got the red hair.
Uh-huh.
Look at the face, all that. But you ride a bike. You were smoking, all this stuff, and I'm going like, man, this guy's a dichotomy and a half.
Right?
But I said, look, I want to be able to show people the garage. And you go, look, you can, but you need to be there. I said, well, what if we're not there at the it was all this conversation. And so we had to figure out, okay, how do we give access but still respect you and the
Yeah,
fact that, you don't want someone to come and roll that thing out of your place, out of your garage.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So,
That was yeah, and I think I can't. It was there for a little while for the first showings, and
mhm.
I think I got it out of there by the time I
Eventually.
left. Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
It took a while. It took longer than it needed to take, but I had to find a place to put it. It sat in two different friends' garages for almost 5 years
Oh,
before I finally
really?
brought it up. So now it's in a garage here, and I'm trying to sell it.
Yeah. Those are the two things that you did that I was like, oh, you need to stop. Get off the motorcycle and stop smoking. You're
Yeah,
you're
I
you're gonna
did.
be you're
I have.
gonna be a dad. So
I
that's
did
where
them.
my
I
heart
did them.
was with you as a
I
friend.
did them both.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And so let's talk about your celebrity because one of the great things about where the house was located is right between the valley and the west side. I mean, it's the
Great
perfect
location.
property for a young actor like yourself or anyone. So when we were going through it, oftentimes if we work with someone of note, we have to be very cautious because we don't want to show something that you don't want to be seen. We can't. But the conversation I think that you and I had was, listen, everyone who sees these pictures of you, we want to leave them up. It's kind of like a vanity wall. We want them to see it because we want them to know it was part of the decor, the styling, and kind of the sexiness of the house. And
Yeah.
so, and do you remember who bought it?
It was a realtor, wasn't it?
It was a realtor, fantastic realtor. I'm not going to mention any names because this
Okay.
is about me, not her.
Right. Right.
No, she's great, and she looked at, she goes, oh, "Is that Kevin Rahm?"
No
I
way.
said,
She knew my
"Yeah."
name.
Yeah,
That's
she knew it.
impressive.
She
That's
knew
deep
it, and
pull.
she wanted, and she thought it was so great. So it was part of the attraction to the house.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that part. I honestly didn't know that part. I remember
yeah,
what I thought was clever about you because I like look anytime anybody talks about celebrity, I'm very hesitant. I don't see
mhm,
myself as a celebrity.
right.
I know I'm recognizable. I know some people know who I am, and some people are diehard. Every once in a while, like just the other day in Costco, some woman tapped me on the shoulder and called me by name. And anybody says my full name, I'm like, what? How do you know
Yeah,
me?
right.
So I usually get, do we go to high school together? So I was hesitant to like lean into that because I thought it was too much hubris on my part. I just thought, how's that going to, I don't know if that's going to help anyone. It's not like I'm
Mhm.
one of the friends selling my house. It's like that's a sell. You know what I mean? Like, oh, or Bob Saget lived here or something, you know? But you did something very clever that I thought, which was in the photographs of the home when there was that like the main living room, that big TV, you
Mhm.
put my face, you put a image from a scene from Mad Men as if that
Yes.
was on the TV when we took the photograph, and I thought that was like a clever, like not over the top way to be like, hey, so if someone did recognize that person, be like, why
Right.
is that person on the TV? And that becomes more interesting to me.
All right. Well, I love your humility. I think it's great. But the shows that you've done, obviously you're recognizable. But to know the full name, that's tough.
That's
That's tough.
impressive. I'm always
With
impressed with
with
somebody
with
else
with
full
most
name.
people, that's tough.
Yeah, yeah, that's true for me.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And so, yeah, it was interesting because what we did with your property too is we have a guy that we only bring in on certain projects because he's a producer, he has a big entertainment background and stuff. But he was talking about getting into real estate at a certain time, and I said, you don't want to do this. Just you should be doing what you're doing because you're successful. Why would you come and do what I do when you're
Right.
so successful at what you do? And we call it listing design. So I bring
Okay.
it to him and I said, okay, so here's the house. Here's what I see. Kevin Rahm lives here, so we want to lean into that because of location. He starts asking so many freaking questions, and at the end of it, he goes, okay, here's what I think you should do. I think you need to lean into the Kevin Rahm thing, but not do it too much. And he spells it out, and then he looks at it and he goes, okay, so let's talk market. And we talk about how we're going to target. First
Uh-huh.
off, we wanted to geo-track. So we in your area, anyone who drove through your area, I don't know if you know this, would see your house comes up because
Interesting.
we wanted someone in your area to know. So we did that, and then we said, who's going to be his market? So we would tag that in the marketing, in the social media, et cetera, so that we could get more activity. And that's one of the
Interesting.
ways that we got it, is by
So
having someone
smart.
come in and create a unique plan for Kevin Rahm's house.
Yeah. So you know how like you were talking about earlier when we started this, how you wanted someone to handle all that stuff after we talk? That's what I wanted from you as a realtor. I never
Uh-huh.
would have thought to geo-track or put someone here and make sure who's our market. Like that's something, how would you
Right,
ever this is why Redfin alone doesn't work. You need
right.
you need a person who's doing the job of a realtor to help you sell your house well,
Now,
I
I
think.
appreciate that because I always look at it. Let's say you're in a hot market and you sell a house. Of course, you're going to get people in. You can sell the house, but the difference is my contention will be with a phenomenal team, and because I'm not giving all the credit to me. I think my superpower is I choose well. I have great people surrounding me. I think that's one of the things I do really well, and then the way I visualize creatively. But
Yeah.
I surround myself with people that are great that way, and so yeah.
That's the definition of a good leader. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
That is the definition. I mean, you cannot every a team is everything, but picking the right people and being and how to manage those people
Yeah.
without that skill, you would have great people and not do anything. I
Appreciate
feel like
that.
you should take at least that credit that you deserve.
No, I appreciate it. I just, I at the same time, I like to give credit where it's due within the team as well, of course.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But my contention always is that yeah, someone can sell your house. They could have gotten a nice price for your house. But my contention, honestly, and I believe this, is that we're gonna get a good 5, 10, 15% more.
Right,
So, we're going to get the extra 50, the extra 100, the extra
right.
200 because of the way we do it, the way we prep,
Yeah,
the way we
yeah.
market, the way the team comes together, and the way we lean into your house and tell the story of your house. And
Mm-hmm,
so
mm-hmm.
that's why I love that part of it because anyone can
Yeah.
sell a house, but can they do this?
This is what I remember about our conversation. The first time when you came over as a realtor, not at a friend's house drinking, you came over as the realtor to pitch me to be my realtor. And I
uh,
remember this was your energy. This was
uh,
you. These were the things you're talking about. I was like, oh, this is the guy. He loves
thanks.
what he does. He's good at what he
Yeah,
does, and he cares. And that's who
yeah,
you want. You know what I mean? It's like I've met a lot of realtors over the time, and I've met they're who are
yeah.
have some cachet or and they don't
Mm-hmm.
care. They don't, and so your care is what pulls you over the
Oh,
top, I believe.
well, I,
And
I
I
definitely
believe that's
appreciate
what I,
that.
I also believe that's what makes the people work for you work harder. Is because you
Oh,
care so much, and that always, if the leader doesn't care, no one else cares. So
no, I appreciate that. I mean, the truth is, it was extremely, and I'm not just saying this, to know that I'm going to make that extra money for you and your family and to make it that kind of experience, it
um,
means something to me. I'm just weird that way. Don't get me wrong, I make good money. I make a nice living. And so for selling your house, you paid me nicely, and I am so thankful. But to me, I'm thankful mostly because I was able to help you and I got to support my family. I just got
yeah.
to do it in a very fun way.
Yeah, so
So,
I don't know if you remember this, but like I made like when we sold my house, um, I had already so we had found a house in Sacramento that we wanted to
uh-huh,
buy. It was the house across the street from the house we were already renting in Sacramento.
uh-huh.
And so when we moved into this rental property, this house had just come off the market. They had overpriced it for the neighborhood. They couldn't find a buyer, and the guys who owned the house were moving back into it as we were moving into this rental across the street in Sacramento. So
Hmm.
they gave us a tour. We immediately fell in love with this house in Sacramento. I was like, this is amazing. This is exactly. I was like, give us a year. I told him, I said, give me 6 months to a year. And if we decide we're staying in Sacramento, I want to buy your house. But so if you don't put it on the market again until you talk to me. And so
Right.
about 6 months later, he came to me. He goes, okay, we want to sell. And I'm like, okay, well, that's when I found you. We were going to sell the house. And
Hmm.
part of the deal, I made a very risky business decision at the time,
Uh-huh.
which was we put down, I think, 5% on the house up
Hmm.
here, which cash. And
Right.
I gave him the cash. And this was
Non-refundable?
if non-refundable.
Oh, wow.
So
Hmm.
when I hired you, I had a limited amount of time to sell that house. So like when the deck came up, we have to redo the deck. That's going to take 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like freaking out because I'm like, I only have whatever it was. I can't remember if it was 6 months, 8 months, a year. I'm sure there was 6 months with an option, whatever. But like
Right.
I was in my mind, I was like, I was time crunched. Like we got to get this done. I thought we could put it on the market and sell it in a week. And you're like,
Right. Right.
well, we can do that, but you really handled me through that process. You were like, no, if we do this and do this and do this, which will take a month and a half, you'll make that much more to be worth it. But the whole time I'm like, I have two mortgages, I have a rental,
Hmm.
and so when I made a very risky decision to go in on this other deal because it was contingent upon selling the house in Studio City,
I
and
don't think
it
you
was
told me that.
I may not have, but like
You know,
my
I don't think
deal
you
in
did. It was
Sacramento,
probably better that I advised in a way not knowing, but to me
yeah.
it's always less time kills deals. So we wanted to get it done as quickly as possible, but we didn't want to shortchange ourselves by doing it
Right,
wrong.
right. And by the way,
Yeah.
I would not change I was so nervous at the time. I would not change what we did at all. Like I think we did all the right things. We fixed the right things. We spent the money on the right things,
Right.
um, and didn't overdo it. Staging, that's something else I never would have thought of.
Yeah.
Spending money. I'm going to pay someone to put other crap in my house. What the hell? I have crap. Why?
Let me get this straight. I'm taking my stuff out and paying you to put other stuff in.
But I will tell you, when the house we ended up buying here in Sacramento, we sold a couple of years ago to move into the house we're in now, and I was like, "Who's my stager? I want to stage it because I knew the value of that. You taught me the
Right.
value of that. We
Oh,
painted.
thanks.
Now I hadn't been smoking in the house, so we didn't. There were no smoke rings because I had a kid and a wife, and I wasn't smoking anymore. But like we painted the outside, we painted the inside.
Hmm.
We cleaned the carpets. We put in a carpet on one room because the carpet was so
Right.
bad, and we like toned neutral colors and like we hired a great stager. And from that staging, I met the girl who is now the girl who helped us design this house.
Oh, how nice. How
Yeah,
nice. That's great. So what it just shows that, I mean, you saw the benefits of what was working and implemented
hundred
them.
percent,
I love it.
100%.
Perfect.
I just wish you could have come to Sacramento to help me sell the other one.
That would have been nice. But you know, I'm always here for
Different
you.
market, different market.
Yes,
When we're
I'm
ready to
here
move
for
back to
you.
LA, I'll give you a call.
Yeah, I can't be your agent over there, but I can always help you. I can always advise you. I'm always
There you
there
go.
for you. And so let's get off real estate for a second.
Okay. Yeah.
This is what I'd like to know. So we're going to step out of real estate. So, in your own words, tell, who really is Kevin Rahm? Because people know what they see. You know, what they don't know is like, man, was a New Year's party over at Britt's house? I saw you freaking, you let loose on karaoke like I'd never seen in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because you're a
I'm not.
singer as well, which is
Yeah,
great.
a little bit.
But the way you let loose, I seriously, because I hadn't known you very well at that point. I looked up and I went like, oh yeah, I could totally get to know that guy because I thought you were so freaking nuts, but just in a fun way. So that's one part of you. And then there's the professional side of you that people wouldn't know because they know the creative side. So who is
Yeah.
Kevin Rahm?
I don't know, man. I'm a guy just trying to get through it. I'm just trying to be a good dad, and I'm trying to be a good husband, and I'm trying to be a professional, and I'm trying to make enough money so my goddaughter can go to school and we can retire well. And
Hmm.
I'm just trying to get through it. I don't. I love what I do. I'm excited. Hopefully the strike is over, and that
Oh,
we ratify the deal, and
yes.
I can go back to work. I love what I do. I also love being at home. Like for the between COVID and the strike, for the last like year and a half, 2 years, I've been like stay-at-home dad and like cooking and doing laundry and driving my daughter to school, and I love that job too. But I'm just a guy trying to, squirrel trying to get a nut, man.
Uh-huh.
So
You sound like you're from a Tom Cruise movie. I'm just a girl who wants to
I'm
be
just a
loved.
guy standing in front of a girl,
It's like what a
trying to sell
weenie.
this
Come
house.
on, man.
I don't, I, you know, I'm a dichotomy. I have,
Yes.
I dress like just got off my Mormon mission, but I have tattoos and I like a
Mhm.
cocktail and,
Hey, take off
um,
your shirt. Show us your tattoos real quick.
I
Don't.
got that one at a wedding in New York City. Um,
All right.
uh, I don't know. I'm just, I'm just a guy trying to get through it.
All right. Well, something else about you, and well put, by the way, well put. And to me, I see you as a dad and a husband first. And I love that you say you love taking your daughter to school and stuff. Some of my
Love it.
favorite time as a dad is being in the car alone with the kids and just saying, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" And just having a conversation and holding their hand and what
Yeah,
music do
yeah,
you want to listen to? It's just
yeah.
that's what it's
So
all about.
what I dear so dear, we do a lot of we live in this great neighborhood now if you're in Sacramento, and there's probably 6 kids at my daughter's school in our little neighborhood. And so
Hmm.
there's carpooling that
Nice.
happens and taking to dance and theater stuff and um uh used to be gymnastics, but like I love being the driver on a carpool
Oh
and
yes.
not being a part of the conversation, just listening.
Hmm.
You glean so much information about what's going on, how they interact with each other,
Hmm.
how they talk to each other, what's important to them, what
Right.
their fights are about, what they're upset about so and so for what they did at school or didn't do. Like that's like glorious time.
To me, that's
That's
absolutely golden to experience that and to know that so your daughter knows that you're hearing it, and she gets a real comfort with, something. My dad's different. My dad
yeah,
can hear this and be cool. My
yeah.
dad and I can talk, and
Hopefully, I
oh,
hope so. That's the goal. Hopefully, the goal is to keep that up, so that by the time they're in high school, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, and I can't remember where I heard this recently, but it was like the goal is not, the goal is when they're in trouble and they're older that they think of you to call. That's
yes,
the goal, right? And
you want to
you're
be the
closer to
first
that.
call.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and your kids are at that age now where it's
Yeah.
like you want them to call you if they
Hmm.
find themselves in a tough position, or it's in life, whether it be to come get them or help them or whatever. They
Hmm.
want to know that they can trust and come to you, and that's
100%.
kind of the goal right now.
No, that's perfect. And how old is your daughter again now?
9 just turned, yeah, 9 in September.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mine
third
just
grade.
turned 15 and went to her first.
Holy
Yeah,
cow,
she went
15.
to her first school dance, and she walks out, and she looks like a young woman now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's just so beautiful. And I looked at her, and she goes, "Dad, don't say it." I'm going, "Don't say what?" Because it's off her shoulder and all this. And so I
Oh,
said,
yeah, yeah,
"Well,
yeah.
I'm not used to seeing as much skin unless you're in a bathing suit. But let me just say this: you're beautiful and you're classy, and I trust you." Um, that being said, I'm going to need to buy another shotgun. So I told her, I'm going to have to buy another shotgun, sweetie. And she
I'll
just
be
laughed.
cleaning it on the front porch like a country song when you come home.
Oh gosh, when her date came through, I looked at him and I said, because he was introduced by my other son, he's very protective of his sister, which is so freaking
Okay,
sweet.
that's
So he
lovely.
walks into the door and I said, "Hey, Jude tells me that you're a very, very nice boy." And he says, yeah. And I said, and and respectful, I assume, right? Like really respectful too, right? And he goes, uh-huh. And his dad's over there like just laughing his head off. I said, "Great. Hey, can we take a picture now?" Because I wanted the boy to know that, look, just be nice.
Just be
Just be
nice.
nice.
Just be
Be
nice.
respectful. Have fun. So,
Just be nice. Well, and
yes.
part of that, especially as a girl dad, and you've been such. I know you well enough to know you've been such a great example to her. Like
Oh, thank
we are the first image of what a male
you.
figure
Hmm.
is, right? So you want to. I keep thinking like anytime I have a question about something or I'm acting a certain way that I'm not proud of, I'm like, okay, do I want her to think of guys as
I love
this?
that.
You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of thing that comes from like, okay, I got to change behavior. I got to be better than that.
Hmm.
I can't get upset at this, or I can't act like that, or
Right.
and it's like I got to be. I'm the first example
Right.
and the closest example of what a guy is, and
Yeah.
she's gonna be drawn to that on some level
Right.
as an older woman, or either be drawn to or go completely against, right? And
Right.
hopefully I'm being an example that she's drawn toward that kind of human being, that is nurturing and caring and kind and loving,
Yeah.
and then also how I treat my wife, the same thing, how does a man treat a woman?
Right. Right. Well, see, this relates back to the earlier question: who is Kevin Rahm? And this is where we really learn right now.
Yeah, right
And
now,
so,
Dad. That's who, Dad,
yes,
Dad and husband
dad and
right now.
husband.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
actor again soon, but
Yeah.
sometimes philanthropist.
Hey, so I have two more questions for you because I
Yes,
don't
sir.
want to take up too much of your time. Anything upcoming that you want to talk about, or anything exciting or in the works?
Nothing I can talk about yet. We have a couple of projects
Sure.
that we're trying to put together. Actually, Mark Clayman, who we
I
we've
love
been
him.
we have
Love him.
two different projects that we're working on
Yes.
together. He's a
Hmm.
producer friend of ours, and we have one that we have a script that we're taking out that we've sent to people who are waiting to hear back from, and we have another one we're trying to find the right person to write the script with us.
That's
So
hard.
that's coming up. This is like irons in the fire for the future,
Sure.
and then hopefully start auditioning again in the short term and
Excellent. Well,
find the right
you
gig.
had all this time and you took advantage of it.
I hope
And
so. I tried
yeah,
to. I
yeah.
tried to.
Well, think about Mark Clayman. I mean, talk about a quality guy. I mean, it's like he's
Quality human
quality at
being.
a freaking high level. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then you'll say that and he'll look at you. No, 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 no,
No, yeah,
no,
he's
not me, not me.
talking about self-deprecating. He's like, no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no,
No,
no.
no, no. But he's
But
serious. I
he's like
couldn't.
he's like this though. He's like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no.
You know that he has the same birthday as my dad, which
I
so
did
it
not
just
know
gives
that.
me, yeah, it gives me my dad passed 2 years ago, and just the day before his birthday. So every time his birthday comes up, I call Mark and I said, hey, you remember why this day is so special? It's not just your birthday; it's my dad's birthday. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, quality guy, quality guy.
Yes.
Enough about Mark Claim, but. Remember the video you made? I think is it you or Britt that made the video about Sussman?
That was well,
Remember?
I was with Britt. F. Mark Sussman.
My
Britt and
favorite
I,
ever.
it's all time. Like if he put that on TikTok it would become a number one whatever TikToky. I don't know what they call the TikToks. It would become like the number one. It would be the most streamed thing of all time. So Britt Johnson and I are in. Britt Johnson, who was my roommate before I bought that house in Studio City. Um,
Right.
we were roommates for many, many years. One of my closest friends to this day. He and I were playing golf together in Ireland. This is
Mm-hmm.
now almost 15, 16 years ago, maybe
Uh-huh.
12, no, 12 years, about 12 years ago. We were in Ireland together playing golf, and he thought it would be really funny to every time we could to get an Irish person in their accent to tell Mark Sussman to F himself. And so it was a collage of
The
seven
best.
minutes of really angry, drunk Irishmen
Oh.
going, oh, fuck you, Mark Sussman. Oh, Mark Sussman, F you. Just going off on this guy. And
Oh.
like we played it for him. He'll send that to me periodically, and I will just laugh
Oh.
and laugh. Like guys with like mitts for hands who like
Right.
we were in Dublin, and there was a group of like 20 like cab drivers, and
Mm-hmm.
Britt who can talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Like his testicles are bigger than mine when it comes to this stuff. Like I'm like I don't know if we can. He's like, no, come on, let's go. Walks up to like these 20 brawler looking
He's
dudes,
fearless. He's
and he's
fearless.
like, hey guys, do me a favor. I have this friend in
Right.
LA. I just want you to say F you, Mark Sussman. And that was like 2 minutes of the video with these 15 guys. It was
Right.
amazing.
Oh,
Amazing.
and the thing about Britt Johnson is he should have had his ass handed to him 1,000 times, and he is so charming.
Oh my
He
God.
can say anything
Yeah.
to
Yep.
anyone, and he gets
Yep.
that smile, and you go like,
Oh my
ah,
God. He is the most charming human being I think I've ever met.
oh,
And I've met some
yeah,
big movie stars, and
oh my
Britt
gosh,
Johnson's smile especially when he's messing with you, and
yeah,
he's messing with you, and you're like, wait a minute, and he does that smile. You're like, oh man,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. We are blessed to have such great friends. We really
we
are.
really are, we really are.
I do want to ask you one more thing because I know how important it is to you, and I'm
Yes,
glad
sir.
that we've been able to cover so much. The St. Jude is really,
Yes,
really,
sir.
really important to you, which
Big one for me.
I freaking love that philanthropic, that heart side of you. Can you tell us why it's important to you, and tell us about the Rahm Classic?
It's the Rahm Celebrity Golf Tournament, and it's in St. Augustine, Florida. We do it at TPC Sawgrass. This will be our third year there, our
Mm-hmm.
fifth year live coming up in May 16th through 19th. If you go to
Mm-hmm.
the romgolf.org, you can see all the information. I have a couple of connections to St. Jude.
Mm-hmm.
One of them I found out after I started doing the tournament. Um,
Mm-hmm.
my pediatrician, Dr. Mack, was my
Uh-huh.
pediatrician growing up in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
And this is now probably 50 years ago. I'm going to mess up the dates, but 40 to 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I was alive yet, so maybe even longer. He was the first doctor in Northwest Louisiana who got a kid who had cancer, didn't know what to
Mm-hmm.
do, and then got a hold of St. Jude, and they took him. The St. Jude Children's Research Hospital took
Mm-hmm.
this kid and saved this kid's life.
Oh, I love it.
Um, and so he became an advocate for St. Jude,
Uh-huh.
for the hospital. And so he was raising money for St. Jude and elevating their cause in Northwest Louisiana. And a friend of his came up to him, knowing that he did this, and said, "Hey, man, I have this house, the spec house. I want to
Mm-hmm.
donate it to St. Jude."
Mm-hmm.
And Dr. Mack was like, "Okay, I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what we're gonna do, but yeah, sure, we'll take it and we'll figure something out." And then
How
it was
sweet.
his idea to raffle this house off.
Oh my
And so
God.
his idea was, and this was like in the
Mm-hmm.
60s it was like maybe early 70s. And he's like, "We're
Uh-huh.
going to charge $100 a ticket," which
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of money in 1970, right? Or
Right.
74, or whatever the year was. And but still, like, it's like closer to $500 now, I would imagine. I don't know exactly how things have changed, but like, it's not a
It's
pretty
significant.
significant amount of money. And so he raffled off this house, and they raised a bunch of money for St. Jude, and now that is called the St. Jude Dream Home.
Oh,
He
that's great.
created the Sainthood Dream. Now, my other
Mm-hmm.
connection to it is, my first job ever in television was Whit Thomas production. Whit
Mm-hmm.
Thomas was Tony Thomas and Paul Junger Whit. They did Soap and Golden Girls, and they did
Mm-hmm.
every big sitcom in the 70s and 80s. My first and their last show ever was a Whit
Uh-huh.
Thomas production. So I famously shut them down, closed their doors. And so one of my first big like black tie events in LA was a St. Jude gala. And I didn't
Mm-hmm.
no idea. That's when I first heard the mission of St. Jude, and was affected by it, but it wasn't until I went there, I was
Right.
invited to go there. And once you go to that facility, I have a lot of death in my family. My mom was a nurse. I hated hospitals. My wife's a doctor. I never liked being around them. It was always
Right.
cold and dark and like
Mm-hmm.
sad, and like just reminded me of all the bad times.
Right.
And going to this hospital, it is so hopeful and so joyous, and like
Right.
people have smiles on their faces, and these kids are sick, man, and not all of them are going to make
Right.
it. No matter what we do, some of them aren't going to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And but the people that work there, and part of the reason is because there's no bill. Like,
Right.
the last thing you should worry about
Uh,
if your kid gets sick, and you know this as a parent who
right.
loves their children,
Right.
like, can you imagine you get a call and you say your kid has cancer? The first thing you're going to think of is like, I mean, after how can I help what do we have to
Of course.
do? The next thing is like, how are we going to pay for this? And
Mm-hmm.
so when those parents walk through that door, there is not a bill. There's not a bill for food. There's not a bill for housing. There's not a bill for treatment. There's not a bill for travel. There's no charge. And so it is near and dear to my heart. Our first year, we raised a little over $500,000.
Oh my
No,
God.
$600,000. No, seven.
Mm-hmm.
We raised $700,000 first year. $700,000, and this last year we did 1.75.
Oh, that's
And
amazing.
so our Patrick Warburton has been doing his tournament, and they did over four last year. I'm gonna go to Florida in 2 weeks to do the South Florida Invitational. That'll be their first year. And
Mm-hmm.
so our goal is to eradicate childhood cancer. That's the
Oh
ultimate
my
goal.
gosh.
And now it's worldwide. That's the big step this year. Like,
Wow.
the survival rates have gone up exponentially. Like, I'm going to mess up the numbers, I can't off the top of my head, but I know there was like 20% survival rate, something, when they first started in the 50s. Um, and now it's like 80 something percent survival rate. It's like something insane what they've
That's
done. And now they're trying to do that
amazing.
worldwide. Now, the third thing,
Mm-hmm.
because I know I'm rambling about St. Jude, and
No, no, I want
I
you
can
to.
I can talk about them forever. But
Yeah.
one of the things for me also, and I'm trying not to get emotional, but when you go to that hospital, it is there is no race, there's no religion, there's no ethnicity, there is no country. Everyone there, they're just trying to save their kid, right? So, I mean, I saw every color, every nationality, every religion, and it didn't matter. Everyone has the same mission while they're there, right? So it is the best of humanity, and it like gives me hope in our world that is all the infighting and the darkness and the left or right and right and wrong and up and down and there's something about that place that gives me hope still. So
That is, gosh, you get me out. I love that. Thanks
yeah.
for sharing that.
So
Seriously,
that
thanks
is
for
that is
opening
that
up.
is my connection. So
Oh,
if you go to the
sweet.
romgolf.org, we raise money. You can buy things on. There's auctions. There's online. They're
Right.
online toward the event, and in May we'll raise some more money for the kids.
Great. Well, when you're in town again, let me know. I want to join you
Well,
for
hopefully I'll be there
sure.
for Britt's karaoke party. We're going to try to make it
Oh,
down
that'll
for
be
you.
okay. I guess that, that's another side of
I
you
got some new songs. I got some new
that
songs.
I'm looking forward to seeing that for sure. And thanks for taking the time and
My
thanks for
pleasure, Scott.
sharing.
Thank you. And by the
This
way,
is
I
yeah,
cannot I cannot thank you enough, man. I learned so much from you. Like I said, I've sold one other house since then, and I bought two houses since we knew each other, since we worked together.
right.
And I take the lessons that you taught me
Oh, thank you.
to heart, and it made it easier. And I feel like I had to push sometimes with my the last time I sold a house. Is like, what about this? Why aren't we doing this? Should we do this? How about this? What, do you have someone to do this? And you spoiled me. You spoiled me
Yeah.
for how for your team that you've put together that you deserve credit for, and then the people that you bring in to do the work. I mean, those people show up for you for a reason, and I think people should know that.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for sharing your heart.
My pleasure.
Um, Thank you for just being open, being you, because this is the conversation I really, really wanted to have. I really
Yeah,
wanted to
good.
have this.
It's my
Yeah.
pleasure.
All right.